Hello everybody and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. We'll be giving you all the first appearance in your comic shops today. Now, this week we got a pretty good lineup for you guys. I think we have 7 first appearances, 2 honorable mentions, so 9 titles all to go through. Definitely some books in there you guys should pick up for your collection. So let's go and get started for the first appearance of the week, ending October 24th, 2025. First up from DC Comics. Detective Comics number 1102. This features the first appearance of the Lion, a villain that was referenced in Detective Comics number 1101. Now, like I always remind you guys about the DC Comics first appearances, DC Comics doesn't have the same cinematic power that Marvel Disney has, so to get their characters onto the screen, whether small screen or big screen, get a lot more fan interest in them, it's going to be a little more difficult for DC Comics. Marvel Disney, like I always mention to you guys, they're just juggernauts. They have a lot of power in the cinema. They can bring a lot of their new characters from the comics onto the screen, get a lot of fan interest in them pretty quickly, and get people racing back to the secondary market to try to find those first appearances. DC Comics doesn't have that same power, so they really have to rely on good storytelling and word of mouth to get collectors and fans to care about these new characters. They are introducing this character of the Lion into the Detective Comics title series, and this is definitely one of DC's tentpole series. Definitely one of the more highly collected title series for DC Comics. So the fact that they're bringing this character into this particular title series may give this character a little more credence in the future. And like we always tell you guys, to pick up these books for $3 or $4 maybe we're specking on. This here is the first appearance. This is appearing in the Batman universe, and this character is appearing in the Detective Comics title series. So this issue here does have quite a few things going for it. So in my opinion, it's worth picking up, if only for a spec. Like I said, $3 or $4 could be sitting on a huge winner here if this goes big. So if you can, grab this here for your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, The Last Wolverine number 1. This features the first appearance of the wonderful Wolverine, aka Wendigo, the last Wolverine. Now, like we always tell you guys about the Marvel Comics, typically always a good idea to pick up the first appearance of new characters in these titles. Like I just mentioned, Marvel Disney have incredible cinematic power to bring these characters onto the screen. If these characters hit a streaming series or a feature film, collectors are going to race back to the comics and try to find these first appearances. This issue here does feature the first appearance of Wonderful Wolverine, and this here is also the premiere issue of this title series. So this issue here does have a few things going for it, and like I mentioned in previous videos, the Wolverine franchise, incredibly popular, huge fan base and collector base for the Wolverine character and the Wolverine universe. So this one here, in my opinion, definitely worth picking up and adding to your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from Marvel Comics, Omega Kids number 1. This features the first team appearance of the Omega Kids. This here is also the premiere issue of this new title series. Now this one here, once again, this is a child-led story, so I don't know how popular this is going to be with adult fans and collectors. Adult fans and collectors don't really pick up a lot of these children-led stories, and this one here, Omega Kids, don't really know how important that team's going to be in the overall Marvel universe anyway. So this one here is definitely going to be a little more speculative. I do always recommend picking up the first appearance of new characters or new teams in the Marvel titles, but this one here, like I said, is a story led by children. Don't really know how popular it's going to be. Don't really know the significance of the Omega Kids in the overall Marvel universe. Don't really know if they're going to bring these Omega Kids across other storylines or other title series. So this one here, definitely going to be a little more speculative. It may still be worth picking this up for a spec if it's only $3 or $4. So if you can, grab this here for a spec. Next up from Marvel Comics, Radioactive Spider-Man number 1. This features the first appearance of Mayhem. This also features a possible new moniker for Miles Morales, aka Spin. Once again, I always remind you guys about the Spider-Man universe. Anytime they introduce a new character into the Spider-Man universe, it doesn't really matter what title series they bring the character into. These are definitely worth picking up and adding to your collection. Spider-Man, the most popular and most heavily collected franchise for Marvel Comics, and this here features Miles Morales. Once again, huge fan favorite character. People do love the Miles Morales Spider-Man. And if this issue here does have the new moniker Spin for the Miles Morales Spider-Man, this is one you don't want to miss. This here does have the first appearance of Mayhem also. So once again, a lot of things going for this issue. This is also the premiere issue of this new Radioactive Spider-Man title series. This is one you don't want to miss in my opinion. Grab this here for your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, Star Wars Jedi Knights number 8. This features the first appearance of Sunataj, a young girl with strong ties to the Force. We typically recommend picking up the first appearance of new characters in these Marvel published Star Wars titles. Marvel Disney is still churning out a ton of media for the Star Wars franchise, And even though Marvel and Disney have done a lot of damage to the Star Wars fan base over the years, they're still diehard fans of the Star Wars universe and the Star Wars franchise. The fact that this here features this new girl that may have strong ties to the Force, so she may be a new Jedi, this one here, in my opinion, is worth picking up. Maybe a little speculative, but for $3 or $4, if this here turns out to be a new Jedi, Sunataj, you don't want to miss out on the first appearance of this character. Maybe a little more speculative, because like I said, Marvel and Disney have damaged the brand a little bit. But like I said, there are still diehard fans out there that probably want to have this first appearance. So in my opinion, this one here is still worth picking up. Grab this here for your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, Ultimates number 17. This features the first appearance of the Ultimate Fantastic Four. Now, like I've been telling you guys about all these Ultimate titles, anytime they bring in a new character into this Ultimate universe or this Ultimate title series, or if they introduce Ultimate versions of existing characters, these are definitely books you want to pick up and add to your collection. This Ultimate title series across all the titles have been incredibly strong and incredibly popular with fans and collectors. And like I said, anytime they introduce a new character or a new Ultimate version of existing characters, you don't want to miss these. So this one here is another one we do think you should pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. And finally from Marvel Comics, X-Men Book of Revelation number 1. This features the first appearance of Rebecca, the Ghost of Philadelphia. Now, I mentioned this in previous videos. Marvel and Disney have the cinematic rights to the X-Men again, so you could definitely expect some streaming series and feature films for the X-Men coming very soon. And this here issue does feature the first appearance of this new character, Rebecca. Don't really know what plans Marvel has for this particular character, but if they do bring this character into any of these small screen, big screen projects, collectors are going to race back to the comics and try to find this first appearance. This here is also the premiere issue of this title series, this X-Men Book of Revelations. In my opinion, this here may be looked over. I don't know if a lot of collectors and fans are going to pick this book off the shelf. This is, another subset series or B series for X-Men. There's been a ton of them over the years, and I don't really know how strong of an interest there remains in these spin-offs or these B series. But this one here is a tie-in to the Age of Revelation, so this one here may have more fan interest than if it was just a regular old B series spin-off. So this one here, in my opinion, may be a little more speculative because we don't really know the role of Rebecca, the Ghost of Philadelphia, in the overall Marvel Universe or the overall X-Men universe. So this one here, like I said, may be a little more speculative, but in my opinion, still worth a spec. So if you can, grab this here for your collection. And now for the honorable mentions. From Dark Horse, Captain Henry and the Graveyard of Time number 1. An intrepid time traveler voyages to a new dimension, but the monsters he finds there may be less of a danger than time itself. Now we put this on the list because this here sounds like it has great option potential for a small screen and big screen project, and Dark Horse has had a lot of their titles picked up an option in the past. Like I mentioned to you guys before, Hollywood has their eye on these small press and indie publishers. They've been optioning a lot of these titles from these small press publishers for the past decade. A lot of them don't make it to the screen, but like I mentioned to you guys in every video, they don't actually have to make it to the screen to kick up the price. Just being option alone will drive the price in the secondary market. So this one here will be speculative because you are speculating on this getting picked up an option, getting a lot more eyes on this title, and having collectors race back and try to find this issue. In my opinion, definitely worth a spec. Grab this here for a spec if you can. And finally from Dynamite Entertainment, the Terminator Medal number 1. In the aftermath of Judgment Day, a lone resistance fighter must rely on a reprogrammed Terminator to survive a mission deep behind enemy lines, all while knowing that one wrong move could reset his companion back into a ruthless killing machine. Now, we put this one here on the list mostly because of this IP. The Terminator, incredibly strong IP, huge fan base and collector base, but once again, just like Star Wars that I mentioned earlier, there has been some damage to the brand over the past decade. The last few movies in the Terminator franchise were definitely not all that well received, and we really don't know what path forward the Terminator franchise has. But like I said, there still is a strong fan base and collector base for this franchise, even though the damage has been done to the brand over the past few years. And this story right here sounds great for a small screen, big screen project. This is one of the better stories we've seen out of the Terminator comics recently, so this one here, in my opinion, does have some good potential to be picked up an option. And if this particular story does get option, this is the one collectors are going to race back and try to find in the secondary market. This here is also the premiere issue of this title series, so this one here does have a few things going for it. Like I said, this story here does sound easily translatable to the screen, so great option potential. It will be speculative, but in my opinion, a great spec. Grab this here for a spec if you can. So there you have the 9 titles we have for you guys this week. There's definitely some books in there you guys should pick up for your collection. So please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.